New reporting indicates that the Trump administration did not actually see Qasem Soleimani, Iran's top military general, as an imminent threat. In fact, the reporting indicates that Trump considered assassinating him 7 months ago. Let's give you some of those details, but actually, you know what? A story broke right before we went on the air, and the story included Donald Trump admitting that it doesn't even matter if Soleimani was an imminent threat. Via Twitter, he wrote, "The fake news media and their Democrat partners are working hard to determine whether or not the future attack by terrorist Soleimani was imminent or not. And my team in agreement, the answer to both is a strong yes, but it doesn't matter because of his horrible past." Now, his previous tweet misspelled imminent, not that it really matters, he misspells all sorts of things. He spelled it with an E, he's a moron. Anyway, but-
I think he thinks that imminent domain is like, it's about to happen now. Maybe. I don't know if he knows what those meanings are.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But look, everyone was skeptical of the claims that Soleimani was an imminent threat, that he had planned something that threatened US soldiers or anyone's life. Because look, if they had that intel, we all know that the Trump administration would share it, and they would share it happily, aggressively. But every single time we saw either Mike Pompeo or Mark Esper give an interview, they really struggled to answer any specific questions about the so-called imminent threat. Now, let's go back to the previous reporting before this tweet happened that indicated that Trump had considered assassinating Soleimani 7 months ago. The presidential directive in June came with the condition that Trump would have final sign-off on any specific operation to kill Soleimani. The timing, however, could undermine the Trump administration's stated justification for ordering the US drone strike that killed Soleimani in Baghdad on January 3rd. Officials have said Soleimani was planning an imminent attack on Americans and had to be stopped. Now, just over the weekend, Mark Esper, who is the defense secretary, struggled to answer questions about the so-called imminent threat. Let's take a look.
Why was there a difference?
What the president said was he believed that it probably and could have been attacks against additional embassies. I shared that view. I know other members of the national security team shared that view.
Probably and could have been. That sounds more like an assessment than a specific, tangible threat with a decisive piece of intelligence.
Well, the president didn't say there was a tangible, he didn't cite a specific piece of evidence. What he said is he believed.
Are you saying there wasn't one?
I didn't see one with regard to 4 embassies.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't see one with regard to the embassies. So you see a little bit of a contradiction there based on what you heard from other Trump administration officials and Trump himself.
Yeah, and even that, which is, it's laying bare that Trump just made up the 4 embassies thing. It's still like trying to imply that there might have been something to what Trump was saying, but if there was no evidence, and there was not only no evidence, there was nothing that could be twisted to look like evidence, because they would grasp at straws if they had them to grasp at. What was it, a hunch? Was it a gut feeling? He'd been thinking a lot about embassies recently. He came up with a specific scenario that's not founded in intelligence to try to get critics off his back for almost launching us into a conflict with Iran.
Right.
That's horrifying.
Right.
And even then, that NBC, I think it was NBC, that graphic you had up was like, it could call into question, like at this point, they still can't say, he lied, he is lying. He's lying to justify military action, and if he gets away with it now, he will do it in the future.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that was the specific reason why I chose to order that graphic for the show. Because at this point, there's irrefutable evidence indicating that Trump did not see Soleimani as an imminent threat. I mean, the whole purpose of reporting this story is that Trump did not actually see Soleimani as an imminent threat. Okay, so why does this all matter? I want to reiterate, because some people might have missed our previous coverage on this. Listen, we're supposed to live in a country that has a system of checks and balances. The Trump administration, meaning the executive branch, unilaterally decided to assassinate a top official, a top Iranian official. That matters because Congress had no say. In order for Trump to do this unilaterally, he has to show that there was an imminent threat and that it did not make sense to wait for congressional authorization to go after Soleimani, right? Because time is of the essence, it's an imminent threat. Imminent threat means it's about to happen, right? And so he has failed to prove that there was an imminent threat. He has undermined our democratic process, undermined our system of checks and balances. For all those so-called constitutionalists out there, or people who self-identify as constitutionalists, what happened? What happened? You're gonna defend Donald Trump on this? Because this goes against our entire system of government, right? So that's why it matters. And then of course you have to think about the ramifications and whether or not there was a strategy here. Because of Trump's actions, the situation with Iran escalated to the point where there were missile strikes against US bases in Iraq. And unfortunately, an aircraft was accidentally shot down by the Iranians, right? So innocent people died as a result of Trump's knee-jerk reaction to protests at the embassy in Iraq.
Yeah. And let's bear in mind that since we're talking about a fear of a precedent having already been set, during that briefing, when Mike Lee and Rand Paul had all these hard questions for the people that were briefing them, they gave the hypothetical. This standard that you believe you can exist under, where you don't have to notify us of what you're gonna do, is that a thing where it caps out at like military commander? Like above that, certainly then you would tell us. And they were like, no, they're not gonna, even if they were taking out the supreme leader of Iran, there would be no notification. And so that whole constitutional thing where the legislative branches, or Congress, or the House I should say, is supposed to declare war is nonsense. We can assassinate leadership in North Korea or any other country if we want to, and we will throw our country into a war, to hell with the checks and balances.
Exactly. It's just so problematic for so many reasons. And again, there are the self-identified constitutionalists out there who will defend what Trump just did. But more importantly, there are the people out there who worry about too much government power, right? Or too much power concentrated in any single branch of the government. The executive branch, if we allow this precedent to stand, which we will because Democrats are weak and they're not gonna fight back hard enough, then future presidents, or Trump 2.0, right? Who knows if he's gonna get reelected or not, will be emboldened by this unchecked power. And that's a very dangerous precedent to set.
And think about, I agree, the Democrats should have done much more, and hopefully some of them will. I'm gonna talk with Ro Khanna tomorrow, he's trying to do something. But the Republicans are getting, Republicans, I guess the believers in a unitary executive are getting a huge assist from the media here. Because if you wanted a test case of the most laughably pathetic effort to lie about the justification for a war, it's being provided in real time.
Right.
This isn't like a presentation before the UN and there's satellite photos and it's like, well, what does that dot really mean? And there's like all this different stuff coming out over the course of months. This is Trump in real time, like, it was the embassies, I don't know, 4 embassies, whatever, it doesn't even matter if it was. And the media is still like, calls into question something.
Right.
These are the watchdogs the next time we go to the brink with Iran?
I mean, come on, watchdogs. Come on.
I guess.
Come on.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.